Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to show you how to design the solution for one of the popular front-end interview questions asked by companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook. Here is the challenge which we're going to solve in this video, or which we're going to provide implementation for this challenge. Before starting the design, let's check the details first. So we should design a countries list with a drop down, and we should use debouncing mechanism to fetch the data from an API which gives list of countries. Okay, what is debouncing? Debouncing Debounce is a programming technique used to limit how often a function is executed. It ensures that a function is only called after a specified delay has passed since the last time the function was invoked. Now let's go over the user stories we need to consider when designing the solution. The page should have an input box that takes user input. On every keystroke, this API should be called. The API call should be debounced with a 500 milliseconds delay, meaning there should be a gap of 500 milliseconds between API calls. The API returns a list of countries that match the user input. The API returns the list of countries returned by the API should be displayed in the drop-down list. The user should be able to select countries from the list, and the selected countries should be displayed in the input box. Okay, now let's go to VS Code to design the solution. I have already started my React application. Let me open simple browser in VS Code by pressing Ctrl+Shift+P and then access the application link, that is http localhost, and the application is running on 3001 port. Okay, 3001 port. Press enter. Yeah, now my application is up and running. Now let's add a file. Countries list to start the design. Okay, to start the design, countries list dot jsx. Okay, let's add boilerplate code by using shortcut RUFCE and then press enter. Okay, let's save it and then go to app component, add the countries list component here and then save. Let's see. Yeah, it's working. Now we start design with input box first, where user can provide input. Okay, where user can provide his input. For that, let me move this and then start with designing input box first. Let me add div, inside div input, okay, of type text, and then placeholder type to search. And then value. So here the thing is, when user enter input into text box, what we have to do is we should store that value and then use it while making API calls to get the list of countries. For that, I'm taking state variable, that is search term, set search term by using useState hook from React. Initially, it will be empty. empty. Okay, let's use that state variable to pass value or to display value inside our text box or search box. Okay, now and then we should add one more event here, that is whenever user start typing input into search box, we should trigger an event, that is on change event, and then update the value. That means we should update the state variable. Okay, we should update the state variable. For that, let me call the update method of state variable, that is set term. Okay, for which we should pass the value, that is event dot target dot value. What this will do is whenever we start typing, this will update the state variable and the respective value in the input box or search box will be updated according to that. Okay, this is about on change event. Now let's save it and then see in the browser. Yeah, if you see here, our application displaying search box, that is input box, but it's not properly formatted. Let's add some styles. So for styling, I'm using Tailwind CSS. Okay, for styling, I'm using Tailwind CSS. Class name, display flags, and then justify center. Okay, and then again inside div, let me add class for styling. That is again here flex column. That means we want to display the flex items in column fashion, that is vertical instead of horizontal. Okay, margin left 10, space between flex items y, that is 6. Let's add this. Now let's add a styling for input box as well. Okay, input box, class name, let's add a border, then border color gray, 300, rounded full, padding 3, width 96, margin top, let's have some margin, then shadow the same. And then when we have a focus on input box, I want to add some styles for that as well. Focus border blue, border blue 500, and then focus outline none, focus outline none, focus ring to. When we have a focus, again ring color, what color we want to display for ring, that is ring blue, ring blue 300. Okay, and then transition all, duration 300, the animation type is in out. When we hover over on search box, I want to increase the shadow. Okay, I want to increase the shadow. Initially we are using shadow small, but when we hover over, I want to increase the shadow. Let's save it and then check in the browser. Now if you see here, when we highlight, when we have a focus, the color is getting changed, and then when we hover over, the shadow also getting increased. Okay, now we are done with adding input box to our page, input box to our page. Next thing is what we have to do is, next thing, as soon as user enter input into text this search box, we should trigger an API call and then get the list of countries. Okay, get the list of countries. For that, let me add one function to fetch the list of countries based on the user input. Okay, based on the user input. For that, let me add const fetch data equal to, I'm using another React hook, that is use callback. It's a React hook that lets catch your function definition between re-renders. That means when we use this for the initial time, you will get the whatever the function you pass to this hook, that is use callback. From the next re-render onwards, if there is no change in the dependencies, you get the catch definition of the function. If you pass or if you change the dependencies, then again this will be re-evaluated and then give you the latest function definition, whatever changes you made. Okay, I'm using use callback hook here, use callback hook, and then debounce. Debounce is a method. Debounce is a method from low-JavaScript library. If you want to get this, what we have to do is we should install the package low-debounce package. For that, the command is, let's go to terminal and then simply type npm I low-debounce. Okay, this will give you access to debounce method of low-JavaScript library. I have already installed in my application, so I'm not installing it again. You can use this command to install that. Okay, now for this debounce, I'm passing the search term which we want to use to get the list of countries. So let's pass the parameter, that is term. And then inside this debounce method, what I'm going to do is, the thing is, you can implement debouncing either using this debounce method, or you can even use a set timeout function as well to implement the debouncing. It's up to you, but I'm using debounce method from the low-JavaScript library. Okay, now what I have to do is I should check first if term is not empty. That is, if its term is not empty, then I should make a call to API. Okay, then I should trigger API call. For that, const response equal to await. Why? Because this is a async function. That's the reason we should use await when we make a API call. Okay, Axios dot get. So even Axios is also a package which you have to install in your or add it to your application if you want to use. For that also, the command is npm I Axios. Use this and then press enter. It will add an Axios package to your application, to your project. I have already done that, so I'm using it here directly, for which I should pass, I'm using string literal here, I should pass the API endpoint. API endpoint, that is already given in the challenge, so I simply copy from the challenge and then use it in our application. Okay, go here and then copy this. Let's copy this and then come to VS Code, and then then paste it here. Here, instead of country, we should replace it with term. That is, we should replace it with term. Term. Okay, based on this input, we make a API call and then get list of countries. Now the thing is, once we get the results, that is response, what we have to do is, we have to, let's press enter here. We should use one more state variable to store the results. For that, let me initialize one more state variable, that is results set results, then use state. Initially it's an empty array. Okay, initially it's an empty array, the results are empty. Okay, I'm passing initial value as empty array. Now once we get the response, what we have to do is we should update the state variable. Okay, we should update the state variable. We should update the state variable set results with the response we got from the API, that is response dot data dot countries. Response dot data dot countries. Why? Because let me show you why we are using here countries. If I use this and then go here, paste it, and then pass term as int, and then if I press enter, let's see what is the output, what is the response we get from API call. Okay, let me press enter. It is not going. Let me refresh, and then okay, it's not making. Okay, let me go to, yeah, now we got it. So it's taking time to give response. If you see here, all the data, all the countries data is kind of storing as an object with a key countries. Okay, now so, and the key is a countries, and then value is an array of countries. So that is the reason I'm using I'm accessing countries value. Okay, data dot countries. This will give list of countries and then assign, update the result state variable. Now after this, let me go to, once we update this thing, what we have to do is, next thing is, if term is empty, that means no value entered in search box, then what we have to do is, we should simply update the, or empty the search results. Okay, empty the search results. For that, what I can do is I simply set results to empty. Okay, empty. It's throwing error. Oh, okay, we are using try here. We forgot to add catch. Use catch. If at all any error thrown by the API call, we should catch that error and then display. Okay, and then display error. I simply use console, or let me use one more state variable to hold that error. Okay, const error set error. Okay, and then initially the error will be empty. Okay, initially the error will be null. Okay, for that, use state and then pass null. That is the initial value of error. If at all any error while fetching the countries from the API, we should update our state variable, that is set error with error. Okay, set error with error. Let's change this so that you don't get confused. Okay, let me add just error instead of total, and then we should update the error state variable, and then even we should update the results also to empty. because when we get error, there won't be any results returned by the API. Okay, now this is about handling error. Okay, now let me format it. Yeah, now what we have to do is, the next thing we have to do is, we should pass delay. How much time our function should wait before invoking, or before making or invoking or executing one more time. Okay, for that, let me pass delay is I mean, in the challenge they mentioned we should use 500, but I'm using 300 only, so that it won't be delay while showing you demo. Okay, now, and then we should pass. Okay, one sec. For this use callback, we should pass dependencies, right? So let's comma and then empty. Dependencies are empty. That means this debounce doesn't change on redunders. Okay, I'm passing dependencies as empty array, so that our debounce doesn't change on re-renders. Okay, now let me refresh, let me format, and then, so once we get the results, what we have to do is, we should display them as a drop down list, right? We should display them as drop down list. For that what I have to do is, as soon as our search term changes, we should display results as a drop down list. For that, what I'm doing here is, I'm going to use a use effect which will run on change of search term. Okay, use effect, it's another React hook which we use to perform side actions or side operations, for which I'm passing, or inside which I'm going to call that fetch data. Okay, inside that I'm going to call that fetch data, and then pass dependencies, so that whenever there is a change in dependency, I should fetch the data. I should fetch the countries list for that. Okay, now inside this, I'm going to call fetch data, which we designed just now to get the list of countries from the API. Fetch data, for which we should pass search term. If you see, we are actually storing the search term in the state variable, that is a search term. We should pass this into this function, and then we should add a dependencies. One is search term, and the other one is fetch data. Okay, so whenever there is a change to either search term or fetch data method, this use effect will be triggered, and then it fetch data from the API. Okay, now the thing is, we are done with fetching the countries list from the API, the implementation to fetch the countries list from the API. Now, once we get the results, we should display them as a drop down. For that, let me go and add a logic. Inside our div here. Okay, what I have to do is, I should check first whether results dot length is greater than 0. Then only I should display this. Otherwise, I don't want to display anything on the page. Okay, I'm going to check whether results length is greater than 0. If greater than 0, I'm going to use a div to display the values. Okay, inside that, what I'm going to do is, I should loop through the results. That is, I should display all the countries. For that, results dot use map to loop through all the values of results. Then country index, index. Inside this, let me use another div, and then span. In this span, I'm going to first display the country name. Okay, country And then after country, we should do one more thing. The thing is, in our challenge, they clearly mentioned that user should be able to select country from the drop down list. Okay. For that, what we have to do is we should add a button. By clicking on that button, user should be able to select. User should be able to select. When he select that value, then the country will be displayed inside my list input box. Okay. For that, let me import one icon, that is plus icon from the react icons, fa plus circle. Okay, I'm going to use this icon which I get it from react icons package. Now let me call this, let me use this, copy, let me close this. Yeah, where it is. Yeah, after country, let me add this. Okay, now we are done with adding country and then plus icon after country name. Now the thing is, what we have to do is, whenever user click on this plus icon, we should add that country to the my list input box. For that, we should add a one event, that is on click event. We should handle that selection. For that, let me add a event handler, handle add to list, for which I should pass country. Okay, now the thing is, what we are doing is, whenever user clicks on plus icon of any country, that country should be added to the my list. Okay, for that I am adding an event, on click event, and then event handler function, handle add to list. Now I should implement this. Let me go to top, copy this, and then here let me implement it. Equal to, for which we are passing country as a parameter. Okay, now inside this, what we have to do is, we should actually update the my list values. For that, I am going to take one more state variable, that is const my list set my list. Okay, using useState hook. Initially it will be an empty array. Okay, it's an empty array. Now whenever user clicks on plus icon, after country's name, we should update the my list state, that it is my list state. For that, let me go here, and then first I should check if country is part of my list, that means it's already added to the my list, then we should not add the country again. That means we are kind of avoiding duplication. Okay, we are kind of avoiding duplication. For that, I'm going to check if my list is, if the country is already part of, my list, if country is already part of includes, that is includes is a condition to check whether the value is available in that array or not. Includes country. If it's already there, means if this is a true, then we should not add our country again to the my list. If it's false only, we should have. That's the reason I'm adding negate here. If it's not part of, it is throwing error. My list includes, then country I'm passing. Okay, let me check. Let me check the spelling of my list only. Let me copy and then dot. What is the error here? Oh, we missed this thing. Now I'm checking here. I'm writing logic to avoid duplication. Okay, if it's not part of my list, then only we should add our country to my list. Now, once we get into this loop, we should update the my list. We should update the my list based on the previous list. Okay, based on the previous list. Here, what I'm doing is I simply copy the previous list array, previous, that is existing array, and then for which this is previous state, for which I should add our country. This is about updating our my list state. Now, once we update, till now, I mean, let's see how it looks in the application. If you go here, let's go to http/localhost and then 3001 port. Let's press enter. Okay, we are getting error. Debounce is not defined. Access is not defined. Why? Why debounce is not defined? Center. Okay, it's not imported here. Now it's imported. The same way, where is the Axios? Axios. Yep. Let's save it. Then go here. Yep. Now let's try entering INDIA and then see. We should get. It takes some time. I mean, the API is responding very slow. Let's wait for some time. Okay, I think it's taking more time in VS Code. Let me open real browser and then go to this path and then check how our application is behaving. Okay, for that, let me go here, paste our application link. Now type IND India. Why it's not displaying anything here? Any errors here? No. We should actually take this input and then get the list of countries. Okay, let me check the code first. Let me check the code first. Okay, after that, what we are doing is we are checking results.length greater than 0, div country plus icon. Let's check whether our call is getting any data or not. Let me add a fetch data, side fetch data, search term, on change. We are updating the search term. Okay, now let's add a logger statement here. Console.log countries response.data countries. Save it. Now let's go to application and then see whether we are getting the data or not. Okay, for that, yeah, okay, it's coming, but I think API is responding very slow, it seems. Okay, let me check, let me try and one more time. United. Yeah, it's now fast. It's now fast. Okay, maybe for the initial time it's taking more time. Now it's working perfectly. So whenever we type something here, India, IN, okay, INDIA, India. So if you hear, now respective countries matching with this term are getting from our API, and then we are displaying here. So here, what we are doing here, when we click on this plus icon, we are updating my list. Okay, we are updating my list. So, but here it's not showing anything on this application as of now. Why? Because we are not displaying inside my list input box. Now let's do that. Before that, let me add some styles. Let me add some styles so that it looks great. Okay, now let me go to VS Code and then let me add some styles inside our here while displaying results as a drop down list. Okay, for that I'm going to add tailwind CSS styling. Let me add style. Okay, class name flex display, flex call, then space between flex items is 2, background gray, then padding 4, rounded MD, width 96. Okay, this is about our outer div, and then let's go to inner div and then add some styles again here. Here we have to do one more thing too. We will get a warning for why? Because we are displaying a list of div elements where we should assign key so that the updates happen properly to the respective divs. Okay, index, I'm doing index. Now the thing is, next thing is, let's add style here. Okay, style is again flex display, justify between, and then items center. Now inside our circle icon, for the circle icon, let me add some color. This text green 500. Then on hover over, I am going to change the color again, text green 600. Okay, this is for our circle icon. Let's save it, then go to browser, refresh it. Let's type INDIA. See, now if you see here, you are getting the drop down list in proper format. Okay, now let's go to component and then display the my list values. Display the my list values. Okay, again for this we should check the length first. We should check the length first. We should check the length first here. Add my list. If my list dot length is greater than 0, then display the values of my list. Okay, then display the values of my list. Here let's add a label. Let's add a label my list. Let's add a label my list, and then value is my list. Okay, my list. Now after that we should display country values, okay, as a in list format. But here we are getting error because we can't return multiple elements inside the JSX component. So let me add a react fragmentation. Now our error gone. Inside here, what I'm doing here, I should loop through my list values. I should loop through my list values and then display them and then display them. Okay. Item index. Okay. Item index. Yeah. Li. Let's add. Then let's display item. This is about displaying our values. Okay. Our values. But yeah, let's save it and then go check here. Let me add INDIA, click on India. Yeah, if you see here, my list is getting updated whenever we click on India country. Now let's check whether it's allowing duplicates or not. I have already added India, but if I click on again here, it won't update. Why? Because we actually added a logic to avoid duplication. If I click on here, it will update again. But if I click on again here, it won't update. So we are avoiding duplication here. Okay. Now let's go and check. Let's go and add some styles to my list as well. Okay. Okay, we should add a list that I said, right? I mean, earlier we should add a key for each list item. Here, that's the reason it's throwing an error. Each child in a list should have a unique key. Okay, that is the reason I have already added here key, but I forgot to add here. Let me add key to this. That is pass index. Index is a unique value, so that's the reason. Let me save here. Now warning gone. Okay, now let's add some styles for our my list display. Okay, here inside this my list I'm going to add a styles for label first, that is text LG. Increase the size of the text and then add font semi bold. Now for this UL, let me add class name. Here inside this list type is list none, so we don't want to display bullet points. Okay, now shadow empty and then background white. Let's add a border color gray 300. Okay, now rounded MD and then padding 4, width 96, same as our drop down list. Space between the flex items 2. Space between the flex items 2. Now let's add styles for our list item. Okay, list item is okay. For now, what we do is we'll do one thing here. Okay, let's stop here and then see how our application is looking before adding styles here. Let's go. Yeah, it looks cleaner. It looks cleaner now. Okay, what we do here is now we should add a functionality. We should add a functionality, or we should enable user to delete values from the my list. To delete values from the my list. For that, let me add a button. Let me add a button. By clicking on that button, user should be able to delete values from the my list as well. Okay, for that, let's go to the component here. Here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a one icon, that is FA circle. We actually added plus, okay, fa circle, that is to add, okay, here I am going to add a minus, circle minus, why I'm not getting here. Okay, let me import fa circle minus, okay, yeah, it's from the font awesome 6. Okay, font awesome 6. Let's copy this, then come down here after our list item. After our list item, let me add it, sorry, and then let's check how it looks. Let's save this and then check. It's throwing error. Why it's throwing error here? Okay, I understood. Should use fragmentation. Let's go and check now. Let's refresh. Then type Dia. Click on it. Yeah, it's now showing a button using which we can delete, but it's not properly aligned. Let me add styles as well as event to perform delete operation whenever we click on that minus icon. Okay, for that, let me add styles first to our list. Okay, to our list. Inside this, what I do is I'll do the one thing. I'll move this into list element, and then even this item as well. Let me add one more tag, that is span, and inside span I'm going to display it. Okay, now right here, yeah, save it, and then let me add styles for rest, that is li. Here I am going to add styles, that is flex justify between item center p2 rounded md transition, okay, duration 200. This is about our styles for list. Next thing is, let me add styles for this span as well. Okay, no, circle, that is icon. Here let me add sorry, cursor pointer, then color is red 500, over, let me change the color to red 600, then transition all, duration 200. Let's save and then see how it looks now. You see here, now it's properly okay. If you see here, whenever we hover over on minus icon, that is to delete, we are getting a mouse pointer icon, but here if you see, we are getting a hand symbol here, but here we are not getting. So this is because we added a cursor pointer here. Let me add cursor pointer here as well, so that it's kind of give, or what I can say, telling user that you can perform click operation, right? So let me add that as well to this plus icon here, so that cursor pointer, so that our cursor will change as soon as we hover over. See here, now it's working. Now the thing is, we should add an event handler to perform delete operation. We should add an event to this component, and then we should perform delete operation. On click, let's handle, okay, handle delete, okay, handle delete, for which we should pass item as an parameter. Okay, this is about our event handler. Now we should implement this event handler. Let's go here and then const, which takes an argument, that is item, or you can say country as well here, country. Inside this, what we are going to do is we should remove that value from the my list state variable, right? So for that, we should simply const, not const, let's directly update the state. Okay, set my list, update the my list state based on the previous state, previous list. Here what I'm going to do here is I should remove the value of this country from the list. Okay, previous list dot filter, okay, where let's take my country again, or C, let's take C. Okay, in such a way that it should be simply not added to the list again. So we simply say C equal to item. That is what I'm doing here is I'm simply loop through the my list state variable and then check any value matching to this country. If it's matching to this country, we simply not including into that list. That is the reason we are using negation here, not equal item. Okay, not equal to item. That is it. Our filter function or filter method will return an array which is containing all the values except the item matching with this country, except item, sorry, it's a country, not item, it's a country, except the values matching this country. Okay, this is about delete operation. Now let's see whether it works or not. Let's go here and then click. See here, now India is removed from the my list. Now click on here and then try again here. See, now our delete operation as well working fine whenever we try to remove values from the my list. Okay, now let's see whether our application is working as expected and then cross check with challenge whether we implemented it properly or not. See, if we go here now and type something like United and then see now we are getting the values. So we can even select different values and then add it to our list and then replace this with some other term. Let's say Africa. Okay, we don't have Africa. Yeah, South Africa, and then let's add England. Okay, let's see if we get any values for this. Yeah, Argentina, Berlin, Benin, Denmark. So now let me go to my list and then remove from here. So let me remove this, remove at the same time, remove, and then go here and then change it to, if you see, now we are able to see only the my list. So this is working as expected. That is, user able to enter input into search box and then we are getting the results based on our input. Okay, based on our input, and then we are able to add country from the drop down list to my list, and then we are able to remove the values from the my list as well. So this is about our solution what we implemented. Now let's see whether we covered all the aspects of our challenge or not by just going to the challenge and then check whether it's what we implemented or not. Okay, for that let me go here, come here. Okay, see, if you see here, even in the challenge as well, so they are having a input box to enter value, and then based on that they're getting the list of countries, and then they're able to add as well as delete from here. So this is what about our challenge, and then we implemented similar solution what what exactly they are looking for, but the UI is somewhat different. So we used different icons for add and then delete. So and then even the delay as well for the debounce, we actually had provided the different times for our delay as well. Okay, now here I would like to tell one thing. That is, I want to explain about the importance of our debouncing mechanism. Take a moment to talk about one of the key optimizations in our component. That is debounce. In this case, we are using the debounce function from Lodash. But what exactly does debounce do and why it is important? When users type into search box, they might type very quickly or make multiple changes to their input. Without debounce, every single key press would trigger an API request to fetch new data. This can be very inefficient and lead to unnecessary requests, especially when dealing with external APIs that might have rate limits. This is where debounce comes in handy. It works by delaying the execution of a function. In this case, our API request until a certain amount of time has passed after the last event. In our component, we have set debounce to 300 milliseconds. If you see here, we actually set a debounce to 300 milliseconds. Meaning the function will only run after the user stops typing for 300 milliseconds. If they type again within that period, the timer resets. Okay. In short, debounce helps us prevent making too many API calls, reduce server load, and improves overall performance, especially in cases where users might be typing fast or making many changes to the input. This is all about the application solution for the challenge which we discussed before starting this design. This is all about video. If you like the video, please do subscribe, share and like. Okay, thanks for watching.